Well, it's time for stencils and such, and we always have at least 2 stencils, and this time they're both really large stencils. So we've got this, it's called Making Memories, and then we also have the leaves, so you can see. And just to pique your interest, here is just one of the cards that our design team made. So won't you please come play with us? Well, before we get into our first project, let me just give you some information about the stencils. So this is going to be the first one that we're going to use. It comes from Crafter's Companion, and it is a 7-inch by 7-inch stencil, which is pretty large. And although it is called Olives and Leaves, I'm really just calling it Leaves because that's really the overall design. And Lene has done the very first project with it, and it's the one that I just showed you. And she did something very unique. So you can certainly see that the leaves are here, but she also married this with our other stencil, and this is the Making Memories. So this has got this beautiful gazebo, and it has a leaf spray, but it also has these flowers in the center. So she has combined the 2 pieces, so that's really kind of fun. And so let me just look at this. But however, using the gazebo, and I'm hoping you can see this, it's very faint, but it's faint by design. So she's done something different with this. So I'm going to start with that. So she took some craft foam, and the craft foam that we have is this. We have a 2mm and a 1mm. She used the 1mm, and she placed the stencil on it. And let's see, let me get this stencil out. And this stencil is 5 3/4 by 8 inches, so there's a lot going on. So anyway, she placed the stencil on just the gazebo part, so you'd want to adjust that so it's going to go through your die cutting machine. So pretend like it's placed like that. And she gives you the sandwich to use, but you're just going to run that through your machine, and what will happen is this. So I'm hoping you can see that. No, I don't think you can, but it will make a raised image. Then she took the gold ink pad, this one, the Delicata, and this is called Golden Glitz, and just lightly brushed it across that raised area. And that's what she got here. So that was very, very neat. And she just did that onto a cardstock. As a matter of fact, I think I have one here to show. I do have one here to show you. Okay, so this is what you would get. So it's going to have more than just the gazebo, but let me just do that with the ink pad, just so that, and I do want to get my craft mat, because if I don't, it's going to be all over the table. So I'm just going to lightly brush this across the top, and we'll have that up here. Again, it's going to be very light, and it looks like my ink pad is kind of seen its time. Okay, there you go. You can see that. Okay, so then she cut that out and put it onto her card, and she did mat it onto the metallic gold, and you can see that she added Sending Smiles. That's one of our Dazzle collections, and this has multiple images. So there's gold, silver, black, and white in this collection. It just says Sending Smiles repeatedly in several different fonts, and so that's nice. And I think there are some little flowers and hearts in there too. So she didn't use it, but you certainly could. And then the little red flower, which is going to kind of go with this red, is out of this set of, this is the it's from Little Birdie. It's the Elira, E-L-I-R-A, Cardinal. So you can use Cardinal, and that will work. So that took care of that. Now, her card is 5 by 6.5 inches, and this background that's here comes from this paper pad, and this is called watercolor wildflowers. So on the back, you'll see that there is a sheet that has those. So she simply put glue around the edges, placed that paper, pressed it down, turned this over, and trimmed it to fit. That's the way to do it. Perfect. Now, to get to our inking, so let me get you a piece of the white cardstock, and I'm going to place it there. And I'm going to start with the leaf pattern, okay? So we're going to, as always, do the low tack tape. And I know that these webisodes tend to go longer, but that's because the designers do a different technique with every single project, and I kind of don't want you to miss anything. So if you'll bear with me, I think you'll be getting some new things, and that's always very fun, don't you think? And just like that, using a stencil to make a raised image, who would have thought of that? Very, very neat. Now, we're going to take, first of all, this is the green, and we're going to use a finger dauber, which looks like this, one of Lene's favorite things. And we're going to use the khaki ink pad. And I'm not going to do the whole thing, but I'm simply just going to do a little bit, just so that you've got the idea in case this is brand new. And you can adjust that stencil wherever you want. If you want to get that right next to the outside edge, perfectly fine. And you're just going to do this, just go through the whole thing and ink it. Now, doing it this way, you're going to get some light and dark areas, and that's just actually perfect because it makes it look a little more interesting, I think, than being all just solid one color. So it's going to be a couple of shades of this khaki, which is one of the very popular Hunky Dory ink pads, the Prism set. Okay, now as you know, highly recommend that you not just pull that stencil off, say if I were complete, but you first check to see if that's what you want. And you can see there's some darker areas, some lighter areas, perfectly fine. Now you want to do that around the card. You can do the whole card, you know, that's going to work too. But right now, just for this process, I'm simply going to do this amount. Let's see, maybe I'll just do this amount. Now, the next thing that she did, then what I do is I toss this gently into a pan of water. I've got a pan of water over on the right. Then we're going to take the, where's my other stencil? There it is, underneath. Okay, now the roses, as I said, the roses are what she used in the center. So you can see that this, well, hopefully, maybe you can't. Okay, you can see that that's kind of a bud over there and the two roses, and that's what she did in the center. Now, if this is going to go over the green, that's okay. You can use that. It's not going to be a problem. And I'm just going to place that, and she's going to do the exact same process with, this is the red pastel, which is kind of an interesting title. You know, you'd almost think that's pink, but it's not. It's this red. Okay, I want to make sure I've got that in the middle. And again, I'm just going to go like this. Same thing with the finger dauber. And I do want to stay in the art of the flower. Now, if you wanted to, you could use that low tack tape and kind of mask off around it. But for my demonstration, I'm not going to take the time to do that. Okay, and again, I should be getting kind of light and dark areas. So let me show you. And there we are. So that's happening. And this is something you may want to just check it a few times, since it's a little different because it has, you know, kind of extra times. And I do think that actually I have the reverse way. So, okay, so I've got a flower going this way, and Lene has it going this way. And that's the thing, you can turn your stencil over and use it. So that was done on a piece of white cardstock and then simply glued to the front of the card. And she did some khaki, put some khaki around the edge of that piece just to really, you know, kind of frame it so it works really nicely. So red and green, it's not looking like Christmas, but it is looking quite lovely. And who would have thought that you could mix your stencils? That's not something we often see. And do such a nice job of it. So just want to point out that if you wanted to go a little bit over that outside edge, that you could do that. It would still be looking like a rose, and it's a very pretty rose. Okay, that's going in my water bath too, and we'll get started on our second stencil. Now here is our second card, and Debbie did this, and she has used she used that gazebo from the Making Memories, and she's used it with the Fairy Garden 6x6 pattern cardstock. And this is the sheet that she used, but she turned it, let me see, she turned it this way. So I'm going to do that too. I'm going to use my low-tack tape to hold that in place. And then she did recommend something that I'm not going to do, because I don't want to take the time to do it with you, but she did mask off around the gazebo, because the gazebo is the thing that she wanted. And I just want to look at this, and I'm also going to turn it over so I match hers. So it would be easier if this were masked off, but I'm just doing part of the demonstration for you. And she did put it in this area that's a little bit more empty. So I'm going to position that just where Debbie did. And again, my trusty tape. And Debbie used a product that we absolutely love. It is the stencil butter. And this is Dune, which very pretty light color. What we love about this is that it's very fluffy, very soft, but it also will give dimension, and it's pretty easy to use, which is really nice. So I'm just going to bring in a bit of it, okay, like that. So you see how fluffy it is? And you can see that this jar is about 2/3 used, so it's still fluffy, it didn't dry out, didn't do anything untoward. And I'm going to put that on my stencil, and I'm going to use my palette knife just to spread it. Now, there are leaves on this stencil, in this area of the stencil, and I'm not going to worry about it because I am going to come back and make the leaves green, but that's okay, because you can do one stencil butter over another. And you're just going to rub that in, and you can hear the scraping of it. Let me bring it back so you can hear that. Okay, here we go. And you want to hear that scraping because you want it just to be in the stencil. Okay, you just kind of play with it. You hear the scraping? Okay, so that's what you're going to do. Now I'm not going to go too much, but you see there's the fence in front and so forth. Okay, and all you want to do is just make sure that it is evenly applied, and that will work nicely. Another thing about stencil butter, as wonderful it is that you do not want to have it dry on your palette knife or on the stencil. So you will want to get that into your water bath pretty quickly. So I'm just going to lift this area up so that you can see. And doesn't that look dramatic on the black? Yes, it does. Okay, now I'm going to do exactly what Debbie said. And I'm going to put this in my water bath, and I will bring it back in just a moment. Now, I think the color is slightly different, maybe not much, but this is very shiny. It's not quite as shiny because it's not dry. Now, what you should do is do the whole gazebo with the Dune, and then come back when it's dry, and it's not dry, so I'm just warning you, and then reposition it like so, and then use the green pear to do all of the leaves. Now, you will be going over some of the dune, that first color, to do the leaves here. That's fine. It's not going to hurt anything, but that's what you will do. So you just want to let it dry, then bring it back. And again, if you want to tape off any part of it, you certainly can. And then use the green pearl. And I'm not going to do that because, you know, you got the whole process right away. And what she has done is she has, so this is a 6x, it comes from the 6x6, but it's slightly smaller because this card is 5 inches wide. And she used some of the Fairy Garden die cut. That's what this is. And she used the Fairy Garden solid to cover her card first because the card is 6.5 inches tall. And then do you see those fairies fluttering about? Well, they come from the gold pearly fairy dazzles, so right here. And I thought it was really fun. She's got them flying, she's got it kind of fluttering there, but I also like the one that's kneeling on the fence of the gazebo, so that's fun. And then you see the gold that's at the top and the bottom. That also comes from Dazzles. This is a gold pearl fancy border. And as you can see, it's quite lovely. So that was nice. And I love the treatment that she did with that ribbon going across. So that's nice. So you have just a whole little setting that she has done. And the stencil butter is just wonderful. Okay, now we're going to go to our next card. Well, here is our next card, and this is by Lene, and she is using the leaves stencil. There are olives on there, but she is turning those olives into lemons, which I think is a great idea. And so this is the card, and you can see. And then we're going to place the stencil over a piece of white cardstock, and of course we're going to secure it down with the low-tack tape. Now you can use washi tape, however what people have told me is that they really like to keep their washi tape with the pretty art for projects and not to use it in this manner, but your choice. So what she has done is first to go through and use, this is the pear green, not to be confused with the stencil butter green pear that we had just a moment ago, but they are close to the same color, aren't they? So we're going to use this with the ink pad, and we're going to use a dauber, and we're going to go into this, and as you know, I'm just going to do a little bit of it, and I think I'll just do it over here. Now, if you have a new ink pad that's juicy, or one that's juicy, it will go on heavier. This one, as you can see, is pretty used, so we're going to have to get another one. But that's something that's really nice about these ink pads, is they just do last so well. Okay, so I've got this done in just an area, and I'll lift it up for you to see. Okay, so that's all pretty light. And what she did, and I love this technique, is that she went back with holly green. Now you can see that's a much, much darker green. And she used that to go to the bottom area of the leaves, so more like toward the stem. And now this is a juicy one, so I want to be a little careful. So I'm going to lift this up just so you can see. So you can see how you're getting more tones, and that's really nice, and it's really simple to do. So that's a great idea. Now she did something with the lemons that I don't have a Q-tip to do it, but let me show you. She used the Sunshine stencil butter, and she said she took a cotton swab, so that's a Q-tip. I don't have a Q-tip. So I think I'm just going to use my finger because I'm only going to do one of these. Anyway, so pretend this is a Q-tip and just do a little bit and put it where there would be a, finger's not going to really do well because you want it to be solid. And I think another thing of using a Q-tip or the teeny tiny daubers, that would be good. is that you can control the space. So if you have a small applicator, that's going to work better. Okay, so she did it first with the sunshine and did let it dry a bit, and then she went back and used the tangerine, which is darker, you can see, just to do the base of it. So I'm not going to do that, but I'll show it to you here. So as we can get in close, you can see the yellow, the sunshine, and then you can see the tangerine at the base. So that worked nicely, and I do like lemons, so. Okay, so that was in her project, so I'm going to pop this back into my water bath. And then, obviously, she cut that piece to go onto the card, and this is 5 by 6.5. So this is about 2 inches, 2.5 inches wide. But she also took an area and die cut it. So I think it's maybe the first time we've done that. So she's used our 12 circles and scalloped, and obviously she has just used the straight circle. And she has die cut 2 circles and overlapped them. So that's nice. Now she did put it on a gingham, and this gingham, let me get this sticky little guy away. The gingham comes from our gingham number 1. This has a small gingham on one side and a little bit larger gingham on the other. I do need to tell you that we do not have many of these left. I mean, we probably have 30, but I just want you to know that. So this is gingham number 1. These are primary colors, so it's red, green, blue, black, and yellow. And that is what she used this side of her card. So you probably cover your whole card with it and then do this piece. I like that she put some gingham. This is from our gingham ribbon collection. You can see all the different colors. And that light green, it's kind of that pearl green or pear green that we've been talking about. So that's over there. And you see the bow is up there, and then these are a little bit lower. The thinking of you and the butterflies comes from our collection. This is called Inside Outside Primary Colors. There are 216 pieces. These are all the colors: blue, green, red, brown, yellow, and black. So you can see them nicely there. So thinking of you and those butterflies all come from this collection. So a lot of different things. In addition, nice to have the inks as well as the stencil butters, and you could see as those lemons are flashing a little bit because they're done with the stencil butter. Okay, we have one more project. Now on this card, as you can see, Debbie did not go for the lemon idea. She wanted to keep the olives, but she's done something different, and let me get started with it on this piece of cardstock. So she has placed the stencil down and, as always, use the tape to hold it in place. Those are just really important things to remember. And she is using embossing powder, and this is clear embossing powder. So she's going to use clear. She's also going to use black. And if this is something new for you, well, that's great, because this is fun to see. So this is down. And then she used, this is a watermark stamp pad. So Versamark, we have a couple of different brands. Wow, we have. And this is, there's no color, so you're not going to see anything. But I'm just going to put this down in just a couple of places, just like that. And you can see that it's going through the stencil. Okay. Then I'm going to pour the clear embossing powder over it. Let's see, I think I can take this off. Yes, I can. So, yep. Okay. And I'm going to pour that. Now you would do this to the whole sheet. And you don't have to worry about, gee, am I pouring too much? Just pour the whole thing over, because you're going to tap it off. And You can use a piece of scratch paper, and I think really that's what most people use. I happen to have a coffee filter here just because that's easier to have. I'm going to tap this off, and there you go. I think you can see the image, very pretty. Then you use this or your scrap paper to pour it back into the container, which is really, really neat because you, it doesn't take very much and it lasts a long, long time, which we also like. Now, the next step is to heat this. So you do need a heat tool, not a hair dryer, but a heat tool. And yeah, what's going to happen is that while this is going, it's going to melt that embossing powder. And I realize that I'm doing white on white, and that's hard to see. But if you'll bear with me, because there is a method to this, to having this happen. So it's going to get clear, which is just going to be harder to see, isn't it? And it's going to melt, and that's exactly what we want to have happening. And I'm not going to sit here and have you watch all of this, so we'll come back as soon as this is all melted. I think you can see it getting shiny. There you go. That's how it's melted. Okay, we'll be right back. Okay, you can see that shine, and that is the clear embossing powder, but it's created the design because it was used on top of the stencil, so very pretty. Okay, let's get that back down. And we're going to use a blending brush. And this is, we're going back to khaki that we used on the first project. And we're going to just color the whole area. So now, some of it's going to get on the embossing, but we will wipe that off because it's going to resist the ink because it is so shiny, and it will resist it. But it's not going to resist it on the paper. So you see, as that is happening, isn't that pretty? So it's just collecting the color. Okay, then I'm going to take, and I do, again, like the fact that this is getting some different tones in it. Okay, but you can see it's pretty, there's some light greens on the top. So I'm simply going to rub this off, and my paper towel will pick up the ink. And look at that. Isn't that just nice magic? Now, if you want to make these olives like Debbie did, she used, this is a pen equivalent to the ink pad. So the Versamark ink pad that you saw right here, this is a Versamark pen, and it's just got the same material in it. So she used this and went back just over the olives, and you can put this on top of the previous embossing powder, so that's embossing ink. So she did this freehand, just like I just showed you, and then she put the black embossing powder, did the same thing, heated it up, and that's how you got this piece. Very simple, very easy to do. Then she did have this card that she covered with black cardstock, as you can tell, it isn't just striking. And she took her leaves and olives and die cut it using the 10 10 oval and scalloped cutting die. And you can see it's a solid one in the center, and it is a scalloped one on the outside. Just ran it through her die cutting machine. And then she cut a piece of black, this same size at the bottom. And she used our Thank You Dazzles. And this has, I'm showing you the black ones, but it also has 55 pieces. It's got black, white, gold, and silver. And you can see the white there. And then she used, this is our thin line dazzles. Same thing, black, white, gold, silver. And it does have some straight lines in it as well as decorative images. So that completed it. So you can, so we've learned some new things, I think, at least I have, is that you can put embossing powder, embossing powder over embossing powder. That's interesting. You can use your stencil to create an embossed image on the 1mm craft foam that we carry. So that's neat. And you can also die cut the piece that you do with your embossing powder or simply with your inks, just like that was done. So a lot of different techniques. And of course you can apply those to any stencil that you are using, and that's great. So let me just bring these back, the two stencils. This is the leaves. You can make them olives or you can make them lemons, whatever you like. And also the making memories. Now, we did not use this area. We didn't use this area. So you've got some other things that you can do with this. And I think it's really nice having these larger stencils. I don't know, it just makes it fun. There is a money saver over on the right-hand side of your screen with both of these stencils and the cards and envelopes that we used. Also, there is a subscription. Every month, we will provide you with 2 new stencils, and we'll show you ways to use them. In total, there will be 4 projects, 4 cards. And we do have the subscription. The subscription is this. We'll get a little bit closer. So what you'll have is, as I said, 2 stencils every month. You will receive a free goodie. This month, it's 5 cards and 5 envelopes. The cost is $15, flat $15. And I think you have seen, even if we get a stencil that's $20 stencil, it's still only going to be $15, and you will still get a free gift. So that's fun. Okay. The list of materials is down below. You can see that. By the way, that subscription should be on the right-hand side of your screen also. So the designers did list the materials that they used and how you can find them here at paperwishes.com. If you are watching this on YouTube and getting all of this information, we would love it if you would head on over to paperwishes.com, take advantage of that money saver, might as well save some money, don't you think, and join us. In fact, every single day we have a webisode for you. Sometimes it's a Flashback Friday, but most of the time it's brand new things just like these. And we'd love to have you join us. I want to thank Lene and Debbie for putting their creative hats on and giving us so many ideas. And I want to thank you most of all for being the best part of Paper Wishes. Thank you, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.